Well, let's start with a little prayer. Thanksgiving. Express today was presented Penetrus masturbicias, quas semestem telesia, sposas interdis modiens tuliquet spectus tumas. Equit quid factopesia, finum perquit quid, proprequit quid, et spectus quid, pedelpes, quid, subquid quid, Jesus tatet es questum tut eer, perquit quid, lotet eer comiens. Zum Preis Mare und bei Zweifel Test, und so in der Anwendungs zum Beispiel das Jahr der Fakt, der Bodel erstes Betrag slash Victor zu nächsten Projekt. Seit mal Christus und so den Preis aus und der Quid des Western war ein Krieg des Lekomiert. Der ist kurz nicht benutzt und zum Füllen aus Sales Bar. Jetzt steht uns ein hier Papierus komiert. Anstupnicht im Sohn. Pilgrim or me, to couldn't soak in a man will quest, dragons to no quest, me, dear clouds to have quest, the still quest, upstill quest, share quest, from hands. This quest of those themselves since. Thank everybody for coming here, being with us today. We just invited you to come and just share this day with us. It's been about 10 years, and then we're not exactly sure when the date is. Later this month, or according to the tribal records and other thing, it's later, even later in the year. It's been about 10 years since this cultural committee started. It's been, I haven't worked for the culture committee all that time. It's been about 5-6 years since I've been working here. During that whole time, I've learned so very much, not only about our tribe, about our culture, about different ways we do things. From all of you, you are elders, my mom, Aunt Louise, Aunt Ann, and all of you people that we see pictured on these walls, all of you that are here too, learned a lot. In addition, I learned a lot about myself too. It's been a really powerful, tremendous time that I worked in. There were some really hard times working for you and doing a lot of things. But as I see today, some of the things that are happening, I think all of those really worries, those concerns, all of those trials, whatever you want to call them, they're all well worth it. You can see guys are really right in telling us that anything that's good is not easy to get. You've got to work hard for it. And by no means our work is not done. We've still got a lot to do, long ways to go. Our children are still needing to learn an awful lot about themselves. Not only children though, but also people our own ages, some older, still have a lot of things to share with each other, to help each other. Just looking back, we put out some things that some of the accomplishments, some of the things that have taken place, some of the things that we've done. We've got some visual things that you can see, but I think the most important thing that's happening is what's happening in the hearts and the feelings of people. Young people, older people, our tribal leaders. What's happened there is, I think, what's the most important thing. We really welcome this, and it's just like seeing the dreams, stories, the visions that these guys have, that they still have. One day that everyone will have that kind of a feeling good about themselves, feeling good about being Indian, feeling good out in that world. That's what I think is the most important thing. I'm going to ask Johnny and Tony, Lucy and Dolly, and to tell you a few things, Naida too, about some of the things that the Culture Committee has done, some of the things that have been happening. But today we just want to talk about a few things, and then the rest of the day we've got some things to show you. We've got some slides we want to see, let you look at. Then we have some tapes that we've put together, and you've seen all those books and all the different collections that we have here, and it's all available here. Anytime any of your children, grandchildren need some help in learning more about themselves, if for some reason that you don't feel that you can do that, please feel free to send them over here. One way or another, we'll either help them or find some way to do that. Find some help for them. Today we've also got a lot of help too. Help from the college. They're doing some tremendous things, some good things to help us in this. So the schools are really interested. One of the schools has a real good language program, and they really talked hard and convinced one of our people that worked on the committee to work for them now. It's to River School, and so Jim was down there working for the school. I think that's one of the greatest things, is what it's all about. Just really helping the kids down there. Then in Arlee, Lucy's teaching some of the teachers in Arlee to learn more about language, learn more about culture. Because I think through the language we learn not only just a lot about the language, learn about ourselves, learn about our culture, learn about the whole being Indian through the language. And it's real good. And that's happening here too in Mission. You wouldn't think that it would, but one of the teachers here, Vanderburg, just took upon herself to get a program started there in the school. She's doing this during one of her free times, and not really calling it a language class, but essentially that's what it is. But through that program, we're just expanding and doing a lot of other things. The kids are really enjoying it and really liking that. They're having a good feeling now about being Indian. There used to be a program in that school, but because of various reasons, different things, it just kind of went to pieces, and now we're just trying to build it back up again. I'm sure there's a lot of different areas that I could talk about and tell you about, some things that we kind of feel responsible for. And of course, this is all because of you, all of you, our elders, leaders. All of this wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for you. So that's why we invite you today to come and visit, share, enjoy this day in a day of celebration, more or less. Okay, Johnny, go ahead.
Yeah, I too want to thank everybody for coming. During one of the quarterly meetings at Dixon, I asked them, I kind of questioned the credit committee why they didn't give me a loan. They said, well, you didn't pay your loan last time, so we took your capital. We're going to be on the blacklist for a year. So I kind of complained. I complained to the council, some of the council there at. During the break, I guess they had found some funding where they could kind of put me as a consultant for the tribe. But I didn't really like that, being paid for going to breaks. Everybody else should have been paid. Keith and many of the elders should have been paid. But from that, since they had me as a consultant for the tribe, Lloyd Irvin, I think, came up with some sort of a program with a Title 7 program, I guess it was Title 4. And they had a kind of like a 1 month, what do you call it? Kind of like to take in materials and try to develop some materials for the tribe. So from that, we found that there was a lot of stories that came up. Well, when we first began, it was kind of hard. They just gave us some tape recorders, some paper and pencil, and it says, okay, you guys form a cultural committee. And I was supposed to hire 5 guys, and I didn't know who to hire. I couldn't hire anybody that was already working. So I went out and we scraped around. I got Dolly. Who else? We got Lucy. Lucy was our secretary. Mike here, I think. We had a little committee. We sat around for 2 weeks trying to figure out what do you do for a cultural committee. We didn't have no guidelines. We didn't have nothing to go by. And finally, I guess one day first we did take a trip to Rocky Point. They had a school going already. Something like 3 years they started. From there, what we saw there, Agnes went with us at Vanderburg, really. And from what we saw at the school, was that there was just 2 people, one young guy and a lady, that wanted to start teaching the children the language. So they started in with the kindergarten children. They started with them, and they made up their own curriculum as they were going. They were just, whatever they did, they kept records of it. So the next year, the kids went into the first grade, so they already had curriculum made up for the kindergarten, so they had to work with these kids that was in first grade. And they went on into the second year, and then these 2 people were starting to get disgusted because the people around the community didn't want to support them. They thought, oh, you guys shouldn't even be teaching the language in school. And they were about ready to give up, about ready to quit. And they noticed that the kids that they've been teaching the language to, that outside the playgrounds they were talking the language. They started to talk, and they got to feeling good. Then they started getting it into the school. But the trouble here now too is when they had it into school, a lot of the parents at home didn't want their children to go and learn the language, so they finally, these 2, they made some notes and they sent them home to the parents. If they wanted their kids involved in the class, then they could go ahead and come on in. If not, then the parents would just sign no. So I guess when the language class would start, some of the parents that didn't sign the notes or anything, when it was time for the language class, they'd tell these kids, well, you'll have to go because your parents wouldn't let you come to the class. They'd sign that paper. So then the kids would go home and tell their folks and say, well, how come we can't go to the language class? And it took a little while. Finally, it got the community to finally support that. Finally, working through that, they found that it was going pretty good. At that time, we were there, I think it was in our 3rd, 4th year. And in Rocky Boy, their school used to go just to 5th or 6th grade, 8th grade, or something like that, 8th grade. And anything after that, high school, they'd have to send them to Bob's Elder. So I was telling them, boy, it'd be nice if you guys could get a high school right here on the reservation. You could follow those kids that you work with from kindergarten, 1st grade, all the way up, maybe even to when they graduate from high school, that they can, in turn, help you teach the kids or help you in teaching the kids, keep the language going. So then from there we came back and we started calling our elders together. We had a table like this, and we was up at the community center. And it was kind of hard at first to get started. We didn't know what we really wanted to do. We knew we wanted to get a calendar made up. That calendar is back there. It cost us quite a fortune for that calendar. I think we lost a lot of money on that. People pointed back on us how much we lost. Nobody supported us. The community wouldn't buy any calendar. But from that calendar, Pete Beaverhead was our kind of the main person that spoke up for the group. He kind of said that, well, there's a lot of people that come from the universities and different places that come and they ask for stories, and they get stories from me, and they give me $5, and they go and make a book, and they make a lot of money off of it. He says, so after a while, I got just the like of them all the time. I just give them any kind of story just to get them off my back and get their $5. Then about that time when we got started, there was also this problem over in Rocky Boy. There was this problem of copyrights. The government was funding them for the materials that they were making, all these stories and stuff. And the government was going to take all of these books back from them, take it away from them. So they started to fight the copyrights for the different education conferences that went on. And finally, it was settled that copyrights for the Indian people. That's when we, here, after we got started with the stories from Pete, after they opened up and told that these stories that we're trying to get from all of you, we're trying to save it for the future, somewhere for all of our kids, people that don't understand the culture, that will learn something. Maybe they can be proud of who they are from all of this material. Then the stories started coming out. We started asking about the month of January, what happened in the month of January, what did they do, stories. And we just left the tape recorder going. And it was just all kinds of things. Pete maybe would tell a story, and all of a sudden somebody else would think of something. And so we just left the tape recorders going. There was all kinds of stories of what happened throughout the year. I think at the time when we got that Bitterroot money, Fred Houle had put some money away in Arizona. And all of a sudden there was this letter come back that the money had built up some. And so with the help of some of our councilmen, Pat was very helpful at that time. We tapped into it. We got a proposal to both committees, the cultural committees of the Kootenai and Flatbed. We got a grant to be paid from this money that we had in the Bitterroot money. And that's what we told Pete. All of these stories that you guys are getting, all the people that are giving these stories, that's from our own pocket, from our own money. That's our own money that's being invested in the right places. If we didn't use it, we can imagine what might have happened with our councilmen at that time. They might have taken a good trip someplace and enjoyed their time. That's what I told them. So we decided to pay our consultants at that time. I don't know how it's going this time. So from there we got a lot of stories going. We didn't know anything about writing books and everything like that. And we've been working on Clarence trying to get him in. He had quite a knowledge, he's pretty knowledgeable, writing material and everything. So finally worked on it and he got in here. And I'm glad that he's in charge here. So all of these years we've been going, we've been collecting stories. Pete Beaverhead had a lot of stories. He said one of these stories that he didn't know why when he was a little kid that he would sit with all the elders when they had meetings or smoking their pipe, and he'd be sitting right in there with them. listening to the stories, all the other kids would be playing. And I guess it was just for this purpose here that in 75 or so, we started to call him in and we started telling stories, story after story, and we got a lot of information from him. And it seemed like he was keeping these stories for a certain purpose. Then when his purpose was completed, he left and passed on. 76 he passed on, leaving us with a lot of material. And through that we developed a lot of things. There was something else that I was. But I guess I'm thankful now, maybe a little later I can come up with that little thing that was kind of important. But, I'm thankful for today, 10 years. We've come through a hard struggle. The council, many people never supported both programs. They said it's a waste of time. Just waste of time. And with a committee of our cultural committee here, there's only 5 of us, 6 of us. It's kind of hard. Now we're kind of spread out with many little things. We have to go here and there. And we still have a lot of tapes that need to be developed, translated, things to be done, but we're spread out in different places teaching classes or different things that we're doing. And we're hoping that somewhere down the line that we can probably run into more money so we can hire more people, get more consultant work. We're now getting into the video tapes so we can kind of make stories out of them on video. Openly, like Clarence said, there's a lot of these young guys out here that don't even care about the culture. And I can understand that because I was in that same spot. I was never cultural all the way. Many years there I had a crazy time. But I look to see that somewhere down the way they'll realize that there's something inside of them that they're still into. And these stories that we have, they can look back and find something of themselves and be proud of who they are, and maybe they pass a little bit on to their children. So this will never die out, so that we can keep going. This is kind of the backbone of our whole tribe. If we didn't have this, I think the government would come in and just kind of say, well, you guys aren't Indian anymore. Maybe you guys just ship you off or take your land with us. So this is our purpose.
I'd just like to say thank you, Counselor. Get started here. As you can see, we came a long way from when Johnny said we started out with tape recorders, tablets, and pencils. We have a lot to show from that first day. And it's because of people that cared, elders that wanted to see this continue, the elders that wanted to see their children learn something. Some of us were lucky enough to be born into a cultural family. Others weren't as lucky. So by being here for the public and other people, we could pass this on. I know that Johnny mentioned that there's a lot of people that don't care about culture. I had no choice because I was born that way. When I went to school, I was ashamed a lot of times because I was Indian. I felt like everybody was looking at me and staring at me. So I kind of lived in two worlds. At home, I was cultured. I always taught the language at home and did everything that was generally our way of our people's way of doing things. And then when I went to school, I would get into another role and try to forget all of that. Try to be somebody that I never was, never will be. And because through the efforts of the elders that we have here and people that really care, we are getting the language and some true Indian culture back into some of these schools that we have here, where if I would have been, lucky enough to have something like that when I was going to school, I would probably know a lot more now than I did back then. But our main purpose, I guess, is to make Indians be Indians and to be proud of what they are at all times, not going two rows when you're around a Suyapi. You try to act like a Suyapi and do things their way, but to be Indian all the time. But you can't change that. You can't change the color of the skin. And I think it's finally getting across to some of the kids now that are pretty darn proud of what they are. The schools come down here on a regular basis, yearly basis. We have schools coming from Big Fork all the time. They come every year down here for cultural orientation. And we have barehead people that talks to them. But when we started, all we had was recorders. And then by looking around, you can see what we've done with pictures, with the camera, pictures of our elders. And hopefully in the future we can get some video equipment. If we can get video equipment, that will be even that much more, you'll see. That's right. You can see more, you can do more with video equipment. The college up in Therriault has some material, that are on cultural things that I'm sure none of you have seen, but you're always free to go up there and look at these things, these videotapes, and check them out. And just in general, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for people like you guys. People that backed us, wanted to see something survive. There was times that I know Naida remembers, I remember, when it was time for pick up the checks, we'd go over to the office and ask for our checks. And those big shots at the office. Well, who are you? Where do you work? Who do you work for? Where's your check supposed to be? And after a while, you get kind of embarrassed and kind of scared to go ask for something that they don't even know anything about, that they don't even know you exist. But now they seem to be coming around. But I think just being here for the public and for the kids that are running around, once in a while there's a kid that comes off the street out of the blue, someone you hardly even expect or to be interested in this culture will come in and they'll ask something about his background, and then he'll start looking at the material we have here, and the more he looks at it, he gets interested in it, and then, just by having someone come in like that, we know we're doing something right. We know we're passing something on. We started 30, 40 years, too late for a lot of things. A lot of the material that we could have had. The people that you see on the walls here have contributed a lot in the short time that program was running. Yet there's still years of knowledge that we could have got when we started a long time ago. hopefully in the future we will get some other things that we could function better with. No, but the support that we have gotten from the tribal council is a lot different, a lot more than it was 10 years ago. The few people that did support us back then always got outvoted or just more or less put aside. Even old Fred Hoodle came around a little bit before he quit. So, in general, I'd just like to say thanks for all your support and hope we can continue on. Thank you. Who's the chair? Who's the chair?
I started with the culture committee, Johnny, Clarence, Dolly, Therriault. Basically, right now, what I do for the culture committee is teach the language to the college. Through the help of Larry Morgan from British Columbia, are now writing this collected language. It was never written. It was really hard to write the collected language. And we would now got the Arlee school, legal school, use the same international phonetic alphabet that we use. Makes it allow them to write. There's a lot of our material for the classroom is taken from the tapes that we've taken, recorded the elders. The elders are always the ones that we have to look back to. They've helped us in everything, from the language to today, what we're doing right now. We haven't had the help from Larry Morgan. Louis Andrews. We still be writing the language along with it. Everybody can write their own, how they do it. And you can tell by our books that we've come to create our language. I enjoy teaching with the college. Teach basic 1, 2, independent. Work with the Arlee teachers. They teach the language, 4th grade through high school. Last year I had the opportunity to work with my mother at her culture camp, which is an important part of this culture committee. During the summer, the culture camp is there for everybody. There's no charge. This isn't a plug for the culture camp. But I think it's a good place for people to just get away from this camp. The college is there for a week. I think everybody that comes up here learns a lot. I know I have. I don't claim to know everything there is about the culture. I was raised in a culture family. I'll always be grateful for that. So I can pass it on to my kids. Anybody that asks, pass on what I know. I've enjoyed working with all these people. There's been a lot of, there are some people that work with the culture committee that aren't here, and I kind of wish they would be. Basically, what I do is with language, I do translate. Dolly does most of the translating.
Hey.
I want to thank all the elders and everyone
else that's here. I worked on the cultural committee from the beginning, and I've learned so many things through this cultural committee. I'm so grateful that we had all these elders to help us. Beaver had said, he said through this, he says, I'm glad that you guys are starting this program. He says, the Indians have power, they have the strength. He says, in everything that we do, we have power and strength. And he says, and I'm so happy that you guys are doing this. He says, to bring out our Indian way of living. Just the other day, I was listening to one of the first tapes that we did. And I felt so lost, because most of these pictures that you see there, they're mostly all not here anymore. But what they gave us through the tapes, through their stories, it gave me strength. In what I do, I translate the tapes. And when I get stuck on some word, oh, I wish he or she was here to explain to me what it's really all about. One thing that we didn't do when they were telling the stories is, I find when I'm translating, is that we never really asked questions about some of the things that they talked about. We didn't ask questions, and sometimes we didn't really know what they were talking about. And once in a while I'd call my mom or call my Aunt Christine and say, what is this? Sometimes they'd laugh at me because, well, you should know that. But I'm just so grateful to work with the cultural committee. I've learned a lot. I've learned so many things, although I was brought up in my culture, my tradition. There's so many things that I have yet to learn. And I'm learning as I go along. I think I'm one of the oldest ones on the committee. And I see the changes that were made from the beginning till now. More people are interested, and some aren't. And we even get phone calls or letters from some of our own tribal members that they want to know about their background, their culture, the traditions of the tribe. So we help every way that we can. There was one old lady, she's in Washington, she's close to her 90s, I think. And she's a tribal member, she has relatives in Arlee. She called up one day and she said, can you send me some patterns to make things to be? Send me the size of needle, thread that I'm supposed to use. And she hasn't been on reservation for many, many years. And she said, I'm old now. She said, I'm not interested in my people's ways. And that was, kind of and sad. But so I gave her the information she wanted. But all I can say now is I'm so happy that we have the elders that we have now. You know, we should all treat our elders with respect and love. Because this cultural is what it is. It's respect and love for each other. It's like Lucy said, we had some more people that we invited to come. With the cold weather, I suppose that's what kept them home. And by Moses in the hospital, he couldn't be there. I tried to write down what I was going to say, but I couldn't. But what I say comes from my heart, and I thank all the elders and all the people that have helped us in the cultural community. And I want to thank everybody.
Yeah.
Sie ist wie Nähe, die das sich erleben kann, so kann Allard mit verkörperlicher es kan niet graag jou anonymous, kan niet wat je bent, dat is is al precies que smed escolas que jou anonymous swets que kan human class jou anonymous kan niet bent wat je Misschien ook meer goed geluisterd, iets met een zee. En dan kon ik naar mijn slechte mensen wat kwijt. Hij is zeker geen slechte mensen iets naar zich niet zo unten. Dat is zo wat stellig. So, und da steht doch ein Kontakt und Testing. Und es ging her für mich. Und der Schwarzbrille ist mit, ist keinem Kretsch. Kretschjaner und es Kretsch so ist Kretsch. Ich sitze schon längst durch auch, man auch schon gut und noch so nicht ist. Zu wenig ist ja auch sehr klar. Und dann hier mal das Geschenk ist ein Chaos so ja. Und auch schon cool. Kommt Deutschland spät, just Terriault. Als je als Danjak so ja, durch Nacht einnehmen und schon spät durch. Anja, Martin, Kevin, Mushna, Richard. Ja, Schmulz keine Rutschnissen schee. Was ja ständig so zu ihr. Und ich weiß, wie ständig Rutschnissen sprachlich. So kein Kugelmann, so kein Teil. Und Kreische Disposen. Der Unkommission in Misch, ein Misch. Ich schütze mich fest. Kommt der Rutschnissen spreche mich. Taksen klappte man schon in Therriault. Damals der jetzt so jakisch ist, ja, die Ordnung und da. Und ich muss sprechen mit Taksen klappte man so Children's Portage. Das Jahr auch, das Therriault klappte ein Kodemann. Das Jahr auch, ich hinaus, ja, aus die Ostländer, so kein Kodemann. Children's Portage. Clarence was there.
Okay, still it's question.
Share has been very happy in existence for 10 years despite of all the obstacles that they've been into. To the elders, I'm happy for, without the elders, we would be a tribe without a culture. And I'm happy that in the past 10 years that we have a few hardcore people that listen. When we would go before the council, and we would just turn down, and we would go out there
For 3 years. And had this program been going 30 or 40 years ago, we would have maybe 10 or 20 times more material than each culture has accumulated. But it's too bad that we never thought about those things back in those days. And I suppose today our council are finally realizing, the importance of the culture. And they are backing us pretty much where we appreciate what they're doing to keep something that we should all keep. That is the Kootenai culture and the Lefthand culture, which is important to us and our children and their children. And all I can say is I hope maybe 20, 30 years from now, these programs will still be in effect and will be carried on by our children and our grandchildren. Because it's something we don't want to lose. I mean, people look at me and say, what the heck is that white woman doing up there giving us a speech? I'm an enrolled flathead. I speak Kootenai language, which I'm proud of. I'm not ashamed. I was brought up the Kootenai culture way, and I still carry
traditions of the Kootenais. And I hope everybody here is thinking hard about helping the communities keep these programs going. Help us, because we need all the support we can get from them. And I want to thank each and every one of the elders that have given all the information, not all the information, but a lot of information that each culture committee can use. Thank you.
Kevin?
I guess, first of all, I want to thank the Culture Committee for inviting me to be here today. Not so much as tribal council, but as an individual, as a member of this tribe. And sometimes I have to wear two different hats, and that's hard. First of all, I'd like to thank the people that are here, the people that have gone before, all the Indians of the two tribes that have given their lives to preserve what we have today. Many things have been said. I guess, and I can only echo them and tell you how I honestly feel. The thing that people have said is that maybe it's not a good expenditure of money, or maybe they've gone overboard, or whatever. And to that I say that that's wrong. Probably one of the best expenditures of that one that we could ever hope to make. Without culture, without our own feelings that we want to govern ourselves, hold near and dear to us those values, those feelings, those beliefs, the language. Without those things, we don't go forward. We shall cease to exist as a people. I hope that someday my children can set in this kind of a setting and know more than I know now. Because what very little bit I do know gives me some hope, gives me some guidance, gives me some vision. More than anything, I think it opens my heart up. I'm seeking to learn. Culture is, it's what was yesterday, it's what's today, and it's what we will be as Indian people tomorrow. And it's important that we hold on to the values, to the languages, and the other things that I mentioned. As far as the tribal council is concerned, I hold that position very near and dear because you people have enough trust in me, enough confidence in me to put me there. It's a very, very important position, but a position that must recognize why we exist as a people. Not everything that we do pleases everybody. And if we fall down, then help us get back up. Because we're going to fall. We're humans. I believe that today, the tribal council is more sensitive. And I don't say that to say bad or wrong things about people that were there before. But this kind of a program never existed before. Indian people were torn between trying to be white and trying to be Indian. And they couldn't be one or the other. They had to be one or the other. think the most precious gift that we have as a young people is our children. Nothing is more precious to me than my children. For my children to be able to practice a religion of their choice, to be able to know who they are, to be able to know a language, to have some values, to have a purpose, I think is very, very important. The efforts that go on in this committee will only strengthen their purpose and other children's purposes. Never before in the history of this country have Indian people been under such an attack. But thank God that we've been in existence 10 years with this committee, so that now we do have some strength and some base and some council support to handle this attack that's coming on the very existence of Indian people. Very honored to be here, and very honored to represent you in the capacity that I hold up there. And I'm very honored to be a member of this tribe.
I'm going to stand over here, so if you throw anything, you can get it behind me. I guess I'm unique amongst many of the people here because many people don't know who I am. I have no history here. You know, I was an urban Indian. I had to find out things. Yeah, one of them city folks. I had to find out things hard. I had to learn how to sweat and bleed with pipes out of the battle. Cheyennes that were urban. If you don't know how much you appreciate it. I wrote a letter back here very early in the 70s. Secretary, it don't matter his name, you'll see him probably at the district meeting here. He said, the old Indians are dead and gone. Those things are in the past. We've got to go forward now. And I almost cried. You know, no, we don't cry too easy. But I almost cried because I thought something's wrong. It took me a long time. I had other things to do, like all people. Didn't pay attention. But it stayed in the back of my mind. I still have that letter. Because I got thinking, what's this? All the old people are dead and gone. The old Indians aren't here no more. So I just kept it in my mind. And then I think, like Sophie said, Tony, if there is a sad moment today, it's that we're not celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Culture Committee. Because that would have given us a better chance for survival. Because that's how long we've been under a real strong assault to become assimilated. To forget everything you've ever known about being who you are. So when I came home, I had to go ask people, and I wasn't afraid to ask. Those of you who remember the first dance outfit I showed up with, you were kind enough not to laugh. Well, some of you didn't laugh. But it was ridiculous. You know, and I know it. What I say was, I go look at it, because I don't mind being humble with myself now and then. I say, oh, why they didn't run me off the floor, I'll never know. But I found out something, that those people that were at those gatherings, those powwows, were so open, so kind, that they wouldn't offend me. They would say, you know, you would look better if you had this. Or it might be, you would look better if you had those 3 turkey feathers. We'll find you something else. And piece by piece, I started finding everyone cared. Just because you was there, they didn't care about who you were and maybe how you looked. I don't know, maybe they didn't want me on the floor. They got to shape me up one way or another. But I found something else too.
and I'm not going to repeat too much what other people say. If we're not Indian people, and we don't carry on with these cultural committees, and we don't replace what the families have lost by making it available here, we won't survive. We won't be any different. And like one of the persons said, someday they'll walk in and say, you're no different. You're not Indian. And that's the end of it. That's how important you are. Now, everyone I've talked to and see around here, I make you feel bad right now. You're like sunshine to me. I see you, I feel good inside. And I know that what you're doing, and what we have to get all the other people to do, is what's going to let us survive. It's that simple. We don't all know who we are yet. We're still learning. Then we'll probably learn until we die. But at least we're learning. I have the utmost respect for all of you. And that's as simple as I can put it. But I can tell you from the government side, at least as long as Dolly run me off with a stick or started fishing, which we're very fond of around here. As far as I'm concerned, this committee, Kootenai Committee, our prime programs. We have to give up something else, as far as I'm concerned, you'll survive. For as long as I survive. That's how important you are. Like I said, every time, even though sometimes I act like Chet, I do hold it all dear, and you are my sunshine whenever I see you. It makes me proud. And every man and every woman needs to be proud. Limit.
I just wanted to come down and talk a little bit about the Flathead Culture Committee in a little different light. I've worked with this committee a lot, done a lot of things with them. Kootenai culture I'm not too familiar with. I've been more familiar with Kootenays the last 3 or 4 years than I ever have before. It gets mean sometimes. Just my wife, I'd like to say that, but she's not here. What I'd like to say that a lot of you probably don't know is that this culture committee is not only doing a good job on our reservation, but with people, museums, and cultural groups around the state and around the nation, they've become very well known. Clarence Woodcock, Johnny Arlee, Tony. If you go to the University of Montana, they know who they are. They know the work they do. They understand that we don't just have a bunch of backward people up here that are making some kind of stab at doing something. They understand that we have some professional people on our cultural committees that are doing good work, and they're well known, and they're becoming better known. If you go to Montana State University in Bozeman, you'll find the same thing. They're aware of this committee. They know what they can do. They know what they've done. That may not seem important to you, but it is important, because as Indians get run over here and run over there, the better image that Indian people on our reservation can make to outside people, the better chance we have of surviving, because they know that we have some important things going on here that are done by people who know what they're doing it in a professional way and carrying on our traditions in a way that white people understand, because they're being done by people who can converse with white people and on the same level as their professional people are in their universities, in their museums, in their historical research. Many people have come here and gotten a lot of answers from this culture committee here. And it makes me proud when then I see those people someplace and they say, yeah, the other day I was up to talk to Clarence or Johnny or Dolly or anybody in here, they're all equal. They can all give you the same information. And it makes me proud when those people tell me what a good job these people are doing for our Indian people. I've known that for a long time. And I would just like to say that for myself personally, I would like to thank all the people on the committee and all of their resource people who have done all these things over these years. It couldn't have been done by anybody else, and we have a real good staff here carrying it on. And I'm very proud to be associated with you from time to time. And I think most of the people on the reservation that I know are very proud that you're doing what you're doing. And I myself would like to say thank you very much for doing a good job for us, keeping all of our traditions that you possibly can going, recorded, bringing some back that we didn't have before, and most of all doing it in a professional manner, so that when people from the outside, even other Indians, look in here, they know that there's something here that's not only being done culturally right, but it's being done expertly by professional people who really know what they're doing. And I'd like to thank you a lot for that. Thank you.
They're getting it set up for dinner, so if anybody else has anything they'd like to say, or just open the floor, I'd like to hear some constructive criticism maybe too. Just tell us some other ideas or some things that you feel that we should be doing, or could be doing, to help our young people, ourselves, be who we are, be proud of who we are. Tony reminded me just to tell you one thing. I got a note last week to call Jim Steele. Apparently other tribes in Washington and other areas are looking to our cultural communities and asking us, Native nations, asking them to call us and get together so that they could start cultural communities on their own reservations too. And that they are seeing the need and the importance of a cultural program. So that was pretty good.
I just kind of remembered something that I was going to say. Just not too long ago, I was thinking back, if we had to start today, as a cultural committee, we wouldn't have all the resources that we've had, all the people that are gone. We'd be 10 years behind already. We would have just nothing. But that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. I think Pat would like to say a few words. He was very instrumental in getting a lot of this started a long time ago. Pat, sure.
I like to stand with my back where the people, especially from up north. So. I guess what I kind of been thinking about, it's already brought up here by several of the people that got up and spoke. And when we first started out in the cultural program, I personally felt the need that we had to start something kind of reservation in order to maintain and to survive. Survival was a key word at that time. But we tried to get a cultural program going. In order for the tribes to exist, for our children to have something to hang on to, it was up to us to develop things that would draw their interest, things that are being, that would make them proud of being Indian. How else were to do that but to form a committee of Indians, even though they didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what I expected them to do, and we set this up. I thought it would be better, whatever they come up with, would be better in the long run if it was developed by the people themselves. And I guess we were pretty close to being right on that, because that's not the end result of what has happened, but you're looking at progress, I guess. What can be done. We didn't want to sit down there and come up with a program and give it to the Indians and here it is to live by. That would have been wrong to begin with. We just asked them to develop a program from the travel council at that time. With whatever they had, if they thought that needed to be done, we'd back them up to the hill. Because it's a program that they developed, it's a program that they wanted to pursue in the future. Makes me feel sad at times to look around and see all the resources that we could have relied on are no longer with us. There's just a handful of us up there in the cooking country. Every time we look at the Allard now, we start looking at this one, getting up to age. But we're losing all our elders. Most of our elders are. There's just very few of us left. We try to have programs, everybody keeps talking about the tapes and stuff, but if it wasn't for those tapes, I don't know where we'd be today. People that first started on the program went out and sat by the hours, listening to the old people, they come back and try to put in their own mind what they're being told, what the word being told by the elders. How is this going to fit in with what we're trying to do? Where will it fit in? Or whatever will fit in. But I thought each and every one of those people that you brought tapes had a message to give them. And so with those messages, we have to carry forward today. We live two different worlds that was already mentioned. I said a lot of things that I want to bring out, has already been mentioned. It's awfully difficult. I remember just be a boys dorm. Joy Brooks, I spent quite a few years along with other people just. And we'd huddle off in the corner of the fence over there. We talked cooking. Before we know it, making the ass slapping us around. Putting hot stuff in our mouth, putting soap in our mouth, trying to keep us from talking our language. With those kind of hardships that we had to overcome, we wanted to survive as Indian people. And it's still happening today. Wherever you go, there are prejudices out there. People feel threatened by walking down the streets, posting, going at it, you feel it. Prejudices out there. People are scared of you because they don't know what you are. I guess it'll always be that way. In the springtime of the year, I have a little class up there in Allard. I take the students out where people used to camp in years past, and I'm talking history, I'm talking prehistory. Pre-Euro-American, they just try to call it. And visit some of the old campsites and just try to vision what's going on in those campgrounds. Swatell, a major campground from a hunting campground and a protected campground. Along with that, the religious sites, the vision point sites, all those areas that the white man put on the little maps that they send their students out from universities out there, charity and tear them up. So they didn't know what the Indians were about. So I had the good fortune to spend a couple of years up in maybe the Forest Service up there. Try to make them see our way of thinking that those rich west sides and those old campgrounds to us are of the past that today we're still using them. It's something they can't understand because the world get up there and I thought you can't send your people out there to destroy those things. They're not of the past, they're of the present. We're still utilizing those same areas today. And that's always hard to try to bring that point across to the white man. Because they have set up in their university system and their colleges of anthropology, archaeology, and this is all these people do is go up there and begin to recite. Was to destroy them and desecrate them. For the Indian people, those are sacred ground. I'm just kind of touching a little bit on what up there in this culture that we put forward. I'm very familiar with what happens down here, but none of this would be possible today if it hadn't been for this small group of people that got together and put forward the cultural program proposals. Even though a lot of the people that were working down at the time didn't know who they were, didn't know what they were working for, and yes, a lot of them are still working on it today, and they still don't know. Because they don't make the effort to stop by or to stop up there in their home and find out what the cultural program is doing. They stand on the outside and they criticize them. Without even taking the time themselves to stop down and see what the programs are about, I guess they feel safer by standing on the outside criticizing something that they don't understand. It should be part of their own learning. We've had to work that in the past. And I'm glad that the people that started off the program are still here, because if everybody gave up and quit, we wouldn't have a program. We'd have one written up by the college, or we'd have one written up by some other department. There wouldn't be anywhere near what it is today. And it's a program that's being put forward today by the elders, by the culture community. And I'm very proud of it. Because it was done by the people themselves, for the people. I just hope that the elders are with us for many more years to come, because we need all the help we can get. And there's no place we can get it from the elders. They have the knowledge and they have the wisdom. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to say? Okay, if there's not, we come to the best part that Ron always looks forward to. There's